So you want to pick a winner this week for the Masters? Golfbet's Key Stats has everything you need to know, getting into all the stats that matter. Coming up, greens in regulation and scrambling, why they go hand in hand. The first round matters, we'll tell you why. And we're looking at the data leading up to the Masters and at the Masters to help pick winners. Chris Brees and Will Gray here. Got to start, Will. The last 7 Masters champions all had these things in common, and it tells us we are looking at a name winner who people are going to know this week.
Augusta National, Chris, is a very correlated course. We've got a lot of really reliable trends that we can try and build into our handicap this week, and one of them, or a couple of them that are outlined here, you need to be a name brand player. You need to have played well in majors before. You need to be playing well this season on the PGA Tour, and you got to be inside the top 30 in the world rankings. So that is going to help us kind of curate a list of players who have a little bit of game early in 2025, who have played well in majors before, if not the Masters specifically. But, you know, the 100-1, 200-1 winners usually don't come calling at Augusta National here.
It's a lot to go through, so we're going to take you through it step by step, all the stats that matter. Hit that subscribe button there on YouTube for all the key stats you want to get each week. We're going to help you pick the winners. Will is there on site at the Masters. We know there was a lot of rain on Monday. We don't know exactly what the temperatures, what the conditions are going to be coming up. Will, what do you see on the ground this week in terms of, is it wetter? Is it going to play normal? You've been walking around the course. What have you seen so far?
Yeah, first of all, Chris, excited to be here all week long doing content for Golfbet. It's going to be a great week, even though there were some rain clouds Monday afternoon. They closed the course around 11:30 to patrons and competitors. They decided a couple hours later that they were going to close the course for good for the day. So a wet start to the week, but certainly rain on Monday does not mean that this course will be super soft come Thursday, and certainly by Sunday, the forecast seems more favorable. I think we're going to have a really good week in store. I don't think that the soft conditions that patrons encountered today in the few hours they were walking around are going to be a problem. I think by the time we get especially into the weekend, we're going to see Augusta National as firm and fast as folks at home would like to watch on television.
Okay, status quo. So let's start with that first round of this tournament. It's actually very important. When you look at the last 21 major Masters champions, all the way back to Mike Weir in 2003, everybody not named Tiger Woods has been near the top of the leaderboard after the first round. Will, Tiger is the only exception here. If you want to win the Masters, you got to play well early in that first round.
Chris, last time I checked, Tiger is not on the tee sheet. So, yes, if these guys want any of the 95 guys that are teeing it up, they need to be inside the top 10 because they're not Tiger Woods. And I think that this is a trend that certainly as you look to evaluate in-play wagers Thursday during the opening round, maybe heading into Friday's second round, I don't think you should really go stretching for those huge long shots that might be, you know, starting at even or 1 over par and they're 7 or 8 back already. This is really a front runners golf course, a front runners tournament. No, we're not going to have every year a Trevor Immelman from 2008 who went wire to wire. Certainly, we've had a couple of guys, as we've seen on this graphic here, who ended up winning the tournament after having first round leader honors. But for the most part, if you scan through that first page of the leaderboard after the opening round, you will more likely than not find the winner among those lists.
I'm seeing Adam Scott and Danny Willett, the only two who were not inside the top 6, which is crazy to think. And so you made the point earlier, don't go chasing sleepers on Thursday night to win, right?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely merit to having some long shots factored into head-to-heads or top 10, top 20 place markets. But in general, this is a tournament that we've seen by and large. You have name brand winners. You've got guys that are shorter in odds, maybe 25, 30, 40 to 1. Could be maybe where you might draw the line in the sand, but certainly after the opening round, this is just a place where it's so hard to be precise for the following 54 holes while you're in chase mode. More often than not, you're going to have someone who gets off to a solid start. Maybe not a spectacular start. Maybe they're not shooting 66 and leading the tournament. But I remember back, you know, it's Tiger has won 5 of these, and he is an outlier on this graphic here. But his barometer always seemed to be shooting a 70 in the opening round. If you're in red figures for sure, you feel like you're getting off to a good start. But those guys that are hoping to bounce back from a 74 or 75 on Thursday are going to have a really steep hill to climb.
Let's get into our actual key stats. What matters this week? The number one thing we found is hitting the green in regulation. The last 6 Masters champions were all ranked inside the top 10 in greens in regulation. You see 2 of them ranked first, and Scottie Scheffler and Hideki Matsuyama well inside that top 10. What is it about Augusta National where hitting the green is so important as opposed to any other course on tour, you think?
Well, I know we're going to be talking scrambling here in a minute, but that's part of it. I mean, certainly when you look at these greens, they're so famous for their complexity and how you really need to hit the right quadrant of a green, let alone the entire putting surface. But it really does show that accuracy and ball striking, precision with your irons especially, are ways that you're going to be able to distance yourself from the field. But the other part of it is when you miss, it's really hard to scramble here. It's not a place where you can lean entirely on a short game. I think back to, Patrick Reed just scrambled his face off in 2018 when he won, similar to maybe what we've seen from a Minwoo Lee a couple weeks ago in Houston, where you're wayward off the tee, but you're able to save it with a short game. By and large, that's a difficult trend to try and replicate here at Augusta National. This is a ball strikers venue. We have seen tee to green specialists really shine. You think back to last year, the final pairing was Scottie Scheffler and Colin Morikawa. That really typifies what you need to succeed around here. And again, you need over those first 3 rounds, you have to be so consistent. You have to give yourself so many birdie putts and birdie opportunities because they're not all going to fall.
That's the correlating factor. Will had mentioned scrambling. You got to realize last year alone on PGA Tour's schedule, this was the 4th hardest course to scramble, to get up and down on. And not ironically, 2 other major venues, the Open and the U.S. Open, were also in that top 4. So to your point, getting up and down is tough. And I don't think it's ironic that we've seen world-class scramblers in Spieth and Reed, you mentioned, and Hideki Matsuyama be those guys who have won in the past. What I want to focus here is the fact that everybody except for Scheffler was inside the top 4 in scrambling of the last 5 champions. You got 10th, 1st, 2nd, and 4th. Scheffler last year is the outlier because he was so good everywhere. I mean, we knew it was a historic strokes gained season for Scottie last year. Look at every single one of those winners outside of Scheffler. They were impeccable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that speaks to their ability to manage their misses and where they were ranked for the week in scrambling had a lot to do with how few scrambling opportunities they had. Mm-hmm. If you only have to try and get up and down 10 or 12 times across 72 holes, here you're going to have a much better shot than if you're trying to do it 18, 20, 22 times, as sometimes we've seen when the wind kicks up or when things get really firm. But you're right, Scheffler had such an edge ball striking tee to green last year on the field that he was able to have a little bit of margin for error on and around these greens. But for the most part, you have to be among the top 10 in greens and regulation. You have to be a really good ball striker who's having a really good ball striking week. And then, oh, by the way, you also have to take advantage of those opportunities when you do have to scramble and save par. And that's been the 1-2 punch that we've seen here in recent winters that really delivers a green jacket with some regularity.
Crunching these numbers is tough for the majors because the strokes gain data is a little different than what we see on the PGA Tour each week. But here's a very fascinating one we found from our friend Ron Klaus, PGA Splits 101. It was the last 13 Masters champions. All had one thing in common. They had gained at least 18 strokes total tee the green in their 4 events leading up to the Masters that year. The last 13 straight winners, 18 or more total tee to green, their last 4 events before the Masters. Got it? Okay. Here's 6 names, star players, who fit that mold so far this year, Will.
Yeah, some names that you're expecting to see in terms of Scheffler and Morikawa. Maybe a little bit of a curveball there with Corey Connors, and I think Sepp Straka is flying a little under the radar as one of the best players on tour this year. But this goes back to one of those slides that we showed at the beginning of the segment, that you just have to be playing really good golf leading into this tournament. Yep. This is not a place where you can miss the cut the last 2 or 3 starts and expect to find your game on Tuesday or Wednesday. By and large, this is a place that shines a bright light on the players who are playing well right now, and you mix that with some major experience, some Masters experience, and that's how you really are able to build a winner. So I don't know. I mean, I think Connors might be and Straka would be the head scratchers of this group, where you'd be a little surprised to see them win in that 70-75 to 1 range, depending on where you shop. But it is no surprise to see Rory McIlroy with 2 wins, Scottie Scheffler, the world number 1, Morikawa has more strokes gained for 2025 than anyone in the field, and then Shane Lowry, who came so close to Rory McIlroy. I know, Chris, we've got a few other names that fit the bill in terms of that trend that Ron found with 18 strokes tee to green over the last 4 starts, but this is really one of those highly correlated factors of you have to be a good ball striker who is playing well over the last 4 or 5 starts in order to have a chance this week.
Take this stat that we're looking at right here and apply that with the first stat we talked about. A top 15 in one of the last 2 majors, a previous major top 5, and a top 5 that season. If you want to do all that math and put it together, you might get down to like 2 or 3 players who you think could win this thing. But again, those are the stats. And we have no idea if that correlates, because we know records were made to be broken. And it's the game of golf. It's fickle. It's hard to pick them every week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is still a course where we have more reliable trends than most places, especially when you think of the other 3 majors that travel from year to year and venue to venue. But it's still going to come down to the weekend, especially if we see sunny skies and a firm and fast layout. You have to be able to golf your ball around the nooks and crannies of Amen Corner and the second 9 and everything that we've come to know and love about the Masters. It's going to be on full display. I can't wait to see how it unfolds from here in a front row seat in Augusta, and excited to continue the content work all week long for Golfbet and the team.
But before we go, I just want to throw one more ridiculous number at you, because this is going to blow your mind and it might make you throw everything you think out the window.
Let's go.
In each of the last 4 Masters, Will, we have never, not once, had somebody finish back-to-back top 5. That means Scottie Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Ludwig Åberg, none of them will finish in the top 5 this year. Do you buy that?
A wise man once said about 4 minutes ago that records are made to be broken. Not every trend can correlate. That's gonna, if you take out Colin, you take out Scheffler, you take out Ludwig, that's a lot of heavy hitters that are going to match with green check marks over everything we just laid out our last few minutes. So I might think that maybe this is a year where that trend doesn't get to 5, and we do see one of those 3 guys contend coming down the stretch on the Sunday.
We'll talk more about it Tuesday on the roundtable. How about that?
I like it. Let's do it.